What if I told you that the book of Revelation is not actually as scary as it sounds? Sure, you've heard people say it all the time. I'm sure you've watched the Left Behind series or some other crazy, genre of makeup of eschatology and end times and how dragons are going to come out of the ground and meteorites are coming to destroy the earth and we're going to be starving to death and somebody's going to tattoo 666 on your forehead or a barcode on your arm or something like that. We have this tendency to hear and see all the negative written in the book of Revelation. In fact, it clouds our judgment so many times that we have become a generation of people who truly fear reading prophetic literature. I mean, think to yourself, when was the last time that your church actually went through the book of Revelation? When was the last time that your church actually desired to know God's will on how we are to live in the end times? Probably none. In fact, almost every church that I've ever attended, we've never once gone through the book of Revelation. But let me give you a little insight into the book of Revelation. Did you know that the book of Revelation is truly a book about hope? And many times we don't believe it that way. We're like, no. The Gospels are a book about hope, right? They're telling all about Jesus and the miracles that he did and all the things he did, showcases his resurrection. That's a book about hope. You're right. That is a beautiful book about hope. But one of the best pictures of hope is that you can see God even in the worst of situations. That even when all things are crashing down around you, when everything seems destructive and everything seems chaotic and everything is anxiety-ridden and pressuring you in so many different ways, when you can see that and still walk away and say, God is in control, that's a true picture of hope. Now, that's exactly what the book of Revelation is. It is God's megaphone for hope. It showcases his glory, his power, his authority, despite all the chaos, despite all the calamity, despite all the tribulation, despite all of that happening. God showcases himself and the hope we have in him by bookending each calamity and each chaos to showcase himself. It's absolutely amazing. In fact, if you read through the book of Revelation, you see this book ending done in chapter 1, chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 7, chapter 8, chapter 11, chapter 14, chapter 15, chapter 19, chapter 21, and chapter 22. It starts with a bang of God showcasing himself. It ends with a bang with God saying, this is the reality of the rest of eternity. I am God sitting on my throne. The book of Revelation is not to terrify us. It's not to scare us. It's not to do anything other than solidify the hope that we have in Christ, even when we're being persecuted, even when we're being destroyed, even when we're being starved to death or abused in prison or martyred because we're willing and ready to die for our faith. The book of Revelation is that hope, because God continually establishes himself before and after each and every chaotic event, each and every calamity. Because the goal for us is to trust God even in the worst of situations. And so when we read this book, not to try and gather the information and say, oh, this is the timeline, this is when it's going to end. I'm correct in this end times thing because I'm interpreting it this way or that way. That's not the goal of reading the book of Revelation. That's not the goal of prophetic literature. The goal of prophetic literature is to showcase that God is always, has always, and will always be in control. And for that, we can hope. Even in the darkest of times, in the darkest of situations, in the worst depression you've ever been in the worst anxiety that you've ever been in, you can trust God that he is our hope and our rock and our anchor, because he shows us that time and time again, not only throughout his word, but even in these end times. That it might look like Satan's coming into power. It might look like authorities are going chaotic and things are falling apart and falling off the rails. But God is still in control. And the beauty of the Almighty and his power and his authority is he will show us he's in control, even when it seems like he's not. I hope that encourages you. I hope that challenges you. Keep chasing after the scriptures.